Discussion regarding the finance related resolutions, meeting adjourned at 11:55, executive session adjourned at 12:05. If you didn't see them, that's what it says. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Great. Do we have anybody for the public?
No.
Anyone to say it? Would anybody else like to be heard during the privilege of the floor? Okay,
Just a quick question. We only have 3 official members of this committee.
Correct.
I think officially, yeah. So I think we had talked about trying to get a community member on the committee as well, but I mean, it's maybe a larger conversation about all the town board committees and what the membership should be of all the town.
Trying to get
committees.
committee, trying to get citizen
So I think-
representation.
Does
Mhm.
PPW have any official members?
Nobody isn't, it's just Chuck Oiler and Jim and I,
Yeah,
you know, we used to have Al Kraus, but.
and you,
West
isn't,
Coast.
he's your vice chair, right?
Oh,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
No offense.
So I don't know, I mean, I think it's a larger conversation about all the committees, if we just wanna, it probably makes sense to have. All of these town board committees, so to speak, have every town. Mhm.
have a lot of construction and, you know, experience in that area, so I mean, it's very helpful. And trying to find people, you know, that have that kind of mindset to. Somebody that's an accountant to be on this committee or, you know, like that, that's.
Yeah, I have
Not
approached
easy.
a few people and a couple have been considering it, but the timing of the meeting makes it difficult for me to get some public members here.
Maybe it's worth putting out in the newsletter, you know,
Well,
we're looking for, because that.
We had like 23 people respond for the
Yeah.
citizens committee. Of that, I think 8 or 9 came to the meeting.
Okay,
So, which, I mean, you got a
That's still pretty good,
third, which
yeah.
is still isn't, and they're all new faces. So we can follow up on that list. And we can reach out and see, some of those might not have been, they might not, as I read more about it, that might have not have been their thing, but others. And that was a direct email on
Mhm.
MailChimp. Website, Facebook are nice, but they're not gonna get,
Mhm.
you're not gonna get people to sign up for something from that, so we can do direct mailing. One other thing I had real quick. We had a holdover that didn't make the agenda, Dreyfus, to share about Muni Trust. And they're waiting in the wings, they're waiting in the. Trying to get, they're not trying to get in, but they're trying to look for that link. So,
Lady who drank this doesn't have a link.
yeah, so,
wow.
yeah.
He literally just said that 2 seconds ago.
Okay, you guys are all good then?
I don't know if
Just
it's-
been emailing and I just want to make sure she's.
Thank you for checking.
Yeah.
Can we get that to them? Do you? You want us to just go on while you guys?
Yeah, just keep going and I'll find
So,
out,
okay, I'll put a
Should be
note
on the
to talk to
agenda.
them later.
and I'll share that with them so they can pop in today.
So how do we want to move forward with John's question on members?
Are you guys okay with putting out an email request?
Well, I don't know
For
if that
interest,
was your
is
whole
that what
question, if
you
you were
were
wondering
trying to
about
get at?
town board members being members as well, but.
Yeah, I just, I don't care about that so much. I mean, I'm gonna attend what meetings I feel and is necessary for me to attend. But just to have 3 people on the committee seems like it's not enough.
It's just kind of an inherited thing at this point, so, well, I mean, I'm okay with us making all of the town board committees have all of the town board members as members. I don't know if anybody else has an issue with that, but.
I don't care about that either. Does that influence, or is that influenced by the law where we're not supposed to have a quorum at meetings or?
No,
But it's a
these are all-
public meeting,
they're all
it's a
public
public
All
meeting, so.
publicly advertised
doesn't
meetings.
matter.
So we can be all be members of the committee.
Yeah.
Sure, that's fine. I think that's
I mean, if you do that, you know, if you don't make the meetings, that is reflected in an official document somewhere. So if, I mean, I think you want, I mean, if we want to do that, fine. If not,
Good point, yeah.
you know, you don't want to have someone say, hey, this person was absent from 35 different meetings, you know what I mean, that was supposed to attend. So that's the only thing you become concerned about. So if people I mean, I try to get to all the meetings that I can, if other people wanna do that too, but I hear what John's saying, I think mostly it's. Do you vote or you not vote? I mean, if you're not on the committee, you don't vote, you know what I mean? You don't really have a say except your opinion.
Well, that's
Yeah,
my point.
Right,
I mean,
right.
with 3 people, you're the only 3 that really.
right, so, I mean, I think we should.
But this particular committee with voting, I mean, it's
But
really
that's-
just
that's
minutes
true.
and everything gets sent up to the town board. There's nothing, you
Right,
can't spend a dime as a town without it going to the town board. So-
Right.
That Georgia. so
But
she's
if
like,
it's just town board, maybe one, if you can find one
I
other
keep
person.
working on
Yeah.
community members. yeah.
It's just the town board making the decisions.
Mhm.
right, so we want some other input, I think.
Yeah.
So
I'll keep
I
looking.
don't-
I've got 2 that have, one of them unfortunately is extremely interested and wants to be on it, which is actually Chris Hubler. But he has a regularly scheduled meeting at this time already every month with another client. So if we were considering potentially moving the time of the meeting, Chris I think he would be a good addition to it as well, but.
That's the other discussion is, you know, we'd probably have more engagement if they were
mhm.
in the evenings, but then again, then
Or even at 4.
all the
Because
evenings are, you know,
And after
That's
school,
that.
but- I mean, you get different crowd, daytime, evenings, it's just, there's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other sort of with them, and plus then. I mean.
then these guys are here.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah,
If it's
working
once a
after
month.
hours, but.
You know, then you just work that into your schedule.
I mean, LDC is early and it's jammed in here, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So maybe early is an option too.
There'd been a request not to have meetings before 9. Before, so I
Yeah.
mean, we could move it to 9, I don't know if that would help much, but.
Well, I think Jared's, what happened with the community committee is not a bad idea to just send out, if people have an interest, then we'll find it out.
Might
Do
be
that and then reach
worthwhile
out.
asking the people that are interested, what they think
Yeah.
would
What time would
promote,
work, yeah,
right, promote better tenants or would make it more convenient. for
Right.
people to-
All right, so we'll keep working on that then. So financial reports, would you mind pulling up the financial reports so people can see? I'm not sure if everybody got a chance to print those before. I had a couple questions on them, which are probably gonna go to you unfortunately while you're trying to pull them up. But you might know too. So the pilot payment that came in this month, the $49,000, in AA 100 1030. What was that for, the 49,000 that came in?
Those are pilot payments, so that was our Bristol. A Bristol special assessment,
Okay,
so their portion of property tax. Is posted to that account, and also, we have, I think 4 properties that pay a pilot payment, so your payment in lieu of taxes, that's a set amount per year.
what I was really kind of wondering is that it's showing us double what we were anticipating, don't we kind of know what the pilots are gonna be? Did we just mess that up on the budget
I
or?
mean,
There-
I can definitely drill into that account to see
Okay,
if there was something that.
That's- I was just
to the
wondering,
wrong
'cause-
account line or
Yeah.
was under, right, under budgeted.
yeah, that's what I was wondering, I just didn't, I was like, cause I understand, pilots come in, but I was just like, why is this 216, don't we know?
Sure.
You know, so-
We
Like the
do.
one thing we kind of know. you
Generally.
know, so. Okay, and then I noticed a couple of the code enforcement lines were getting a little lower than normal. Are we anticipating making some adjustments there? It's like AA 100 8664 in there.
Mhm.
So, and there were a couple of them that were right around or under 50% remaining.
So, right, I do need to review this with Lindsay, I think that there, is possibly, there may possibly be like an employee that's coming out of an incorrect line or something.
Okay. I just wanted to draw your attention to it because they were running low, so.
Yep.
So,
I can see that, yeah, they're not equally being
yeah,
looking from, so it's probably just I know that, our software that we use for payroll is not always
perfect.
accurate. And even though we tell them which lines they're supposed to go to.
Just
I know
trying to-
Lindsay has to do a lot of manual stuff, so.
That's all
we can
cool. I was
definitely
just trying to
review that.
anticipate before it becomes more problematic.
Sure.
And then the last thing I saw, Jim, it's most of the snow stuff. Looks like the snow removal wages and the contractual are both around 50%. Do we have more in that this year than we typically have?
I haven't looked at it
So,
to
okay,
give you an answer.
okay.
I
I would assume we probably have a little more in it. I mean, do you usually run 50% at this point from snow, or I would think you did use up more of it in the
we
new
would
year
typically
than
use about 3/4 of it on a normal season,
yeah.
normal January through April, and then there's enough to buy salt typically in labor in the fall.
And I just brought up because I didn't know if you had any thoughts or plans for if there is excess, where it could go or what have you.
I
Well,
Because we had a nice unsnowy year. this year.
Yeah, I know,
You don't know.
the winter in October, November,
Yeah,
December.
you don't
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen, so. I
That's
would-
why I was wondering if it's normally, if it's normally at about 50% at this point or not, so, but,
I typically leave it alone,
okay.
is what I typically do. and if
So it's not
there's-
like way out, way high or something like that at 50%, so, okay. Right, that's all.
The only thing I'll add is the county of Ontario with Wayne County, we put together our own salt bid this year.
Mhm.
And we did get a little bit of a reduction, $5 a ton versus what we're paid last year.
How many tons of salt do we get?
6,000.
Can we get 6,000 tons?
Sounds like a lot, but.
I know.
Might not go through it all either.
6,000 tons every year? Wow.
But we don't understand, we don't use 6,000 tons.
Yeah, no, I know,
But
there's,
here's the thing, like, we have to take 50% of it regardless.
Yeah.
So there's 3,000,
No,
whether we do it now or not. And then, but if, once we go over 6,000, say it's a hardware, now it goes up to 125%.
got it.
So six,
I'm just
Somewhere that
the
range, we
number
try
for
to
me is
stay-
going, whoa.
yeah,
That's
it does sound like a
awesome.
lot, but. You know, the city of Buffalo and the city of Rochester use hundreds of thousands. of
Oh, I know.
tons,
No,
so-
I'm not saying it's too much. I'm just like,
So-
it's just, I'm sure you're getting the right amount. It just sounds like.
I just don't
lot.
like paying more than we need to,
Of course.
so- especially when we get to 125 range, it starts to hurt.
Yep. Okay, just was wondering. So that's all that, and did anybody else have any questions about the budget report? Okay. What do I have next on here? Oh, yeah, the fund balance policy. So one of the things we were talking about last meeting was if we need to adjust the fund balance policy. And I don't know if anybody had any thoughts on that at this point, or if because we had talked pretty extensively last time. Hang on, I didn't print it out because it was too big, so. Yeah, you go. Look at her. She's so good. So I have to pull it up. So what was the amount again? That we are, can you summarize that, Jess, while I'm finding that fund balance policy?
Let me pull it up so I don't.
I'll look at it. I should have been the fund balance policy. Oh, no.
I hate you.
Sorry. Me or Word?
The computer, I hate the computer.
I've got it here, but it's
No,
not
it might,
up there.
Hang on,
Sure.
it's in last month's stuff too.
it is, I just. Why can I not pull up a Word document? This is ridiculous.
Because the computer doesn't love you. Maybe we should just meet upstairs until this gets.
It's all right, I have it from last month,
Yeah,
so.
Jess, can you share your?
Yeah, can you share the screen? Did you get that?
Am I not sharing it?
You're sharing. this-
screen sharing.
You're screen sharing the wrong screen. So all I see is the file folder, not the actual documents that you're pulling up.
Thank you.
oh, that's nice.
Well, it's weird, but I don't know. Let's see.
This is what happens when there's too many attachments.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Oh, I don't know what that is.
Never good, though.
No, it's not.
That's not a positive.
Zoom drop already won, so let's see, screen share. So I have to open the docs, does that work?
Yep,
Yes,
that's
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, it's also in here. So The general fund balance policy, the unrestricted fund balance of not less than 15% and no more than 30% of the average annual budget appropriations. So our current fund balance policy says that our unrestricted fund balance should be between 771,000 and 1.5 million roughly. So that would be, so we're currently at 15 to 30% of the average budget appropriations. So do we want to be making that higher? Should that be a higher amount or should that be keep it where it is? Because we haven't been in keeping with our fund balance policy. So right now, our unrestricted fund balance policy is, or our unrestricted fund balance is about what? Is it still about 4.4? Do we think?
Sure,
Okay.
you're gonna go by whatever it was on January first.
Yeah, so our unrestricted fund balance is around 4.4. And our policy says it should be under 1.5. So last year, if you guys remember, we did that big adjustment where we brought it to about, I think, 2.2 last year. And it's way out of line with the policy. So either we need to do some significant adjustments, which I think we need to do anyway, or we need to change the fund balance policy. So I think last time we had basically said, maybe that's a little bit low at 15 to 30% of the unassigned fund balance. So do we want to potentially move that up to 40% or?
I would opt for that. I think to change the policy to reflect what we're kind of doing.
Let me see what 40% would be.
Is this because it's driven by, we brought in more sales tax, so we're using less unappropriated fund balance to balance our budget?
I mean, sales tax has been
So any,
the last.
right, if you don't use all your money that you earmarked for expenses, you'll have money that will roll into unassigned fund balance, or if your revenues are higher than anticipated, revenues are higher than budgeted.
I mean, because we
40%.
put it at a higher number doesn't mean it has to be a higher
No,
number, but I'd like to have
it
the
could still be
flexibility of,
15 to
right, making it.
So
Right.
the 40% would be 2,057,000 and change. So just over 2 million would be 40%, which is closer to where we were last year. It's still, $2.4 million off of where we are this year.
And this is just for the general fund. Right.
Yes, general fund unassigned. So
I don't understand why we would want to raise it.
there was concern after post COVID. I don't necessarily understand why we want to raise it either, but there was concern post COVID that we needed a bigger
Reserve.
reserve. It's not a reserve, it's the fund balance, but that we needed to keep a little bit more. Jess and I were talking about this the other day. The funds are kind of like checking accounts. So they change a lot, but trying to keep a certain amount in there at all times as sort of like a cushion, so to speak, is what that becomes. So the question is, does the cushion need to be more than 30% of what we spend?
I don't see the reasoning for that. I actually see reasoning now for us to utilize that fund balance to fund some of the things that we need to get done.
Okay,
But that's not reflective of what we have in the fund. We could still do that. It's just that we want to increase that to reflect what we're actually doing.
I don't see the reason for us to increase it. I think that smart people created this, and I think that I don't see why we need more than 30% in the fund, in that particular fund. And if there's an excess in there, I think we ought to spend it. We ought to find, we got plenty of things to spend it on.
But it doesn't stop us from spending it. It just allows
I
us to,
understand. You're repeating
to
yourself.
make our policy.
I don't agree with you. I think it's fine at 30%. I don't see a reason to raise it to 40%.
Jim, you look
What's
like you had
the,
something you wanted to bring up.
What is in the tax contingency account now?
A
Like,
little over 1 million.
okay. What is supposed to be in that account?
It has to be what, didn't we just look this up
Yeah, we did.
yesterday? It has to be less than 2 million or
Yeah.
something. It's because there is a maximum that you can have.
Yeah, than that.
But out of this, we take money for next year's budget
About
to
what would you?
balance that budget.
it's
in
between,
an
I
effort to keep the tax rate down, so.
think it's been between 400 and 600,000 that we've used. in the
Regularly.
last few
So,
years.
over the past couple of years, we didn't expect sales tax to be as well as it did.
Mm.
We
How much?
we under budgeted the sales tax because we were being conservative. We brought in more.
Yep.
Which meant less money going out of the unappropriated fund balance to balance your budget. Last year's budget, we didn't spend really major anywhere. We pretty much kept the lines
Mhm.
flat. And then coming this year, there was a discussion of how do we spend this additional funds
Right.
for this upcoming budget.
And last year.
It's
Yeah, like-
cumulative thing too,
So I
it's
think that-
added to each year.
To John's point, find an account where to spend it. Short term would be great this year. Find a way to do some of your wanted things we've been talking about to do this year.
Yep.
And then I understand what Dave's saying when it comes to put it there to help, because it's not gonna hurt, you still pulled out. It just, if you could use it somewhere else, that could be done. Town hall renovation.
Oh, that's
Maybe
definitely,
that's
we
some of the
will,
area we should be looking at.
if we keep
Or
it at 30%.
look at your taxes, your account for rainy day account case. We have a bad 2 or 3 quarters. We can fall back on the tax stabilization account and have that maybe up as close as it can to 2.
That's a
So-
good point. So like, if you're worried about, you brought a point, we use the unassigned fund balance. We appropriate part of that for the following year's budget to balance the budget.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we can do that also by using the tax contingency reserve fund, which we don't normally do. So technically, I mean, we could put a big chunk in that fund and then use it how it's supposed to be used.
But we're all talking about something. We
Yeah.
either need to change the policy
Correct.
or adhere to the policy. Those are the
Exactly.
two options.
Correct.
So
That's what-
either
that's
we
what I'm-
move it somewhere or change the
That's
policy.
exactly what I'm trying to say. I mean, even if we keep it as it is, we have essentially $3 million that we need to put somewhere. If we were to move it up, we have $2.5 million that we need to put somewhere. So it's no matter what, there's at least $2.5 million that we need to assign somewhere. So that's not what I'm talking about now. I'm just simply talking about, do we like this at 15 to 30%? And if we do, we need to start doing that, which we have not been. Last
Right.
year, we've got a little closer. This year, we're way, way, way up.
Terry, you were here for those previous discussions when that was set. Do you remember why those numbers were chosen?
Well, at that point in time, the numbers were more in line with, you know, what we're talking about here. We didn't have these excesses, over the past
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, the amount that we're bringing in sales tax has been much greater than, you know, what we budgeted,
Historical,
what we
yeah.
said would be coming in revenue, so we were always very conservative in our budgeting,
Mhm,
and that accounts for it, because this is a cumulative thing.
mhm.
This didn't all just happen last
Mhm.
year.
Yeah, no.
This is from years past,
Mhm.
Mhm,
and we just haven't had the ability, sounds crazy, to spend money
mhm.
that, you know, to reduce that, to get it down to a lower level. That 15% number, the 771,000,
I think that's
is
way
about
too
what
low.
we put in year to year. So really that, what we're talking about is that difference from 771 to 1.5, $800,000 roughly is being what we had predicted would be the excess, so. Or what we would
Jared.
allow to be excess.
Question. It was done when AUDs were going in.
Mhm.
Comptroller reviews them. The report back was you need a
Yeah.
policy for fund balance.
Yep.
It was, these numbers were derivative from the comptroller to say, hey, you
15
need
to 30, yeah.
between 15 and 30% for each of these
Yeah.
accounts.
We had.
It
no
wasn't
policy.
necessarily the town board that time going, we should
Mhm.
just do
Let's
this.
do
Yeah,
that.
no.
Okay, so that, it had a little,
It had some meat
it
to
had
it
some
coming.
stuff come up from the
Okay.
comptroller.
Well, the comptroller told us, we had no limits, or, you know, minimum or maximum numbers. We didn't have a fund balance policy.
Yeah, mhm.
It was developed, and at that point in time, those percentages, what we got from the comptroller and what we modified some of them. That we thought would make sense for us, but, you know, times change.
Jim?
And, I think one thing it says is our ability to budget isn't all that great. Because there's a lot of excess that occurs.
Jim, can I ask, when you've had probably most projects happen in the last 4 or 5 years, how much over, you just on a general project, are they generally, were they costing 30% more than anticipated? Were they costing 10% more than anticipated when the prices were going nuts? Like, what was the worst type of situation?
Equipment's been our biggest,
Yeah,
I say, under budget,
okay,
all because, you know, trucks alone have gone up
Yeah.
$80,000 in
Mhm.
40 years,
Mhm.
okay? So has heavy equipment. It's just, those are things that when we get the number back, we're like, not expecting that.
mhm.
Is one of the things. Asphalt. Yeah, I mean, it all
I'm
depends
just
on the
wondering,
market.
what was like the worst you were finding for, if you could think of a percentage for like the worst you were finding, yeah.
Like, we were over on highway for the.
No, I
building.
mean, when, like, how much, like, when something went up unexpectedly, not that you went over, I'm saying if something, like, you were anticipating spending X, Y, Z on asphalt, it came back and it was, you know, a lot more than you were anticipating.
So what I do in that situation is I will look at other budget lines.
Yeah.
To stay within my budget,
Oh, no, I know,
and
I
then
just,
we would go from there to pay.
I
for
just
it.
mean, like, if we're thinking about how we spend money,
Mhm.
right? And something is like a worst case scenario like we've had in the last 4 years when things went up exponentially. I'm just wondering, you know, what kind of percentage random, you know, in a horrible situation were we finding of an increase? Were we finding like things, cost of things going up 50%, cost of things going up 20%? What were we finding? So,
Trucks, yes, equipment, yes, but as far as materials, fuel, no.
so
But we
they,
I mean,
also-
it's not that gross increase.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
okay.
getting at. There's always an increase, but
Yeah,
it's not been unattainable to budget.
Okay.
Okay.
The unassigned highway fund balance is 644,000. The fund balance, the policy says it shouldn't be over 406. So we're not overspending the highway budget either, so
Mhm.
it's not. It's closer than the general, but it's
Yeah.
not being overspent, so.
No, that's not what I was trying, I wasn't saying it was.
No, I'm
really-
just saying
I'm trying to
that-
figure out, you know, if we, what's the worst we could anticipate in prices going up, because we've now, I think, seen probably about as bad as it's gonna get for costs.
So I think.
Well, our ability to manage that side seems to be better than the general side.
Yeah.
Because we're much closer in terms of, you know, what the policy says, so that's my point.
So I think to kind of wrap this up, Michelle was able to join in to do a quick finance presentation.
Okay,
The fear is, from kind of what I'm hearing, is that the reason we have that there is in case we have a bad year. And we want to make sure we're protected sales tax wise, so we don't have a huge increase.
Mhm.
Our sales tax policy allows us to go to 2 million. Our sales tax reduction, you know, tax revenue reserve. It feels like that is where we already have that in place to put our money. To fit within the policy. So, you know, I think that's the compromise, but you know, Dave's got Dave's idea, John's idea. I think that allows us to keep it at that 30%. But then we're moving that into sales tax reserve. We need it, we use it in the next budget season, and that brings it down.
Sales tax.
That's sorry,
Contingent tax
the
reserve.
contingent tax
The
reserve.
other- so the
You know what I'm saying? Come on.
No, I
know.
The only
But
problem
there's
with
another
that
one,
is that
yeah.
it's, that doesn't solve the whole problem for one, because we need
Mhm.
about 2
And
and a
then
half
we,
to 3
right,
million.
and then we just.
And we already have over 1 million in the contingent tax. reserve.
But we've already got it figured out to spend for. Bonanza and these other projects that we have, these places to put it, so I don't think we need to adjust the policy, I think we just need to spend money.
That's
I
fine.
concur.
And then
Either,
fine.
either one,
I
it
just-
doesn't matter to me. Right.
I just wanted to start with where are we getting to? So
Right.
if we're getting to 1.542, then we can subtract that from the
So that's our goal.
4.4.
I think
Put it-
also it would be pretty difficult for us to go and tell our constituents that we wanted to go and increase a reserve or a fund. You know, when we're gonna be potentially
We're talking about bonding millions of dollars.
bonding millions of dollars.
And we have millions of dollars sitting here
Right,
that we can use
right,
to pay for those bonds with no tax increase.
yes.
So I say we keep it,
Okay.
But then we adhere to it.
Then
I mean,
that's-
that's my
that's-
issue. If we have a
that's my whole
policy,
thing.
let's
Because I don't
stick to
know
the
that-
policy
So we
or
have to put.
amend the
two-
policy.
$2,922,122 somewhere.
So-
Roughly $3 million.
Completely.
So we need,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, we need to find a place to put
$3 million.
$3 million.
So,
Yes.
so.
Minus 300,000,
Yeah.
we already moved that.
Right.
It just doesn't
right,
reflect.
so-
that.
And but we've already got
26.
it. I mean, we've been talking, we've been moving town hall. We've been talking about moving, we've got Ananda, we have. This can pay down the water. All these other things we can encumber it there. So,
Agreed.
yeah, so I think we
I
leave it.
just, it's the same thing
Yeah.
we did last year when we put money into complete streets on the highway.
So I agree,
We need to
so-
do it again this year and
Not
I'm
changing it.
just trying to get up, okay, so
Well,
let's,
whether- It's gonna be whether you can put some of that in reserves and that's just keystrokes.
Yeah.
But the part of spending, where we
Right.
can
Yeah,
spend
actually
that
spend.
much. Is a question, whether
Yeah.
he can implement, he has enough manpower, time, whatever.
Right.
Setting aside all the other projects that he had, how much can he spend? So
Mhm.
that money may have to be parked someplace else for a while,
Right.
but
Mhm.
How we
you
spend.
park it into a reserve, you can only use it for what
Yeah.
that reserve says,
So
so
we did create
gotta
those
keep that.
highway
I know.
improvement, capital projects, so we
Yep.
can.
you gotta pick
put
them
money
right.
there, and
It's not a reserve.
Right.
It's not a
Right.
reserve
No.
because it's earmarked
Yeah,
for
right.
whatever.
Or we might,
Yeah.
Some of these, we might decide, hey. Jim's busy, his guys are busy, and this is something that we could bring in
Oh, yeah,
and get done,
oh,
so.
yeah,
Maybe tomorrow, Terry, like on the capital discussion, we can.
no,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
So let's, okay, so now we know we have $2.622 million that we need to spend.
How much?
2.622. So that's minus the 300
Mhm.
that we already put into the town hall. So-
And if you don't mind me making a suggestion.
Yep.
Rather than go down each one of these fund balance or
Mhm.
fund balance policies. I think we'd be better off spending time. Looking at each fund and telling us whether we are overfunded or whether we are underfunded. And then we have an idea of how much money at the end of the day. We have to spend on various things. That makes sense?
Mhm.
I mean, basically, you just have these two,
Which ones?
the general and the highway.
And
That have unassigned fund balance, the rest of the fund balances, those are just your assets, then they change day to day, minus your expenditures. So,
You're talking about reserve funds and capital projects, I think, is probably what you're talking about.
Okay.
Those aren't funds, those, it's the reserves and the capitals, so
so how much money do we have in a highway?
depends which highway you're talking about, there's a couple different places. but-
144,000.
So
much?
That's,
When this was printed, 600.
that's the unassigned fund,
Unassigned fund
So-
balance.
but there's also a highway capital project.
Yeah, well, he,
Um,
yeah.
There's a highway equipment reserve fund and there's a highway improvement reserve fund.
So on this sheet here, you have highway at 540. Right,
Which one are you looking at?
this sheet.
What's the name of the fund?
Fund balance. is as
Oh,
of
that's the fund balance.
January.
So those are like, that's what I was trying to say earlier, those are kind of like checking accounts. You know, that's,
So
those
we're just talking
change
about
all
the
the
general
time.
fund, right?
So-
That's what we were just talking about. That we have 2.6 million in excess
In the unassigned, yes,
right? And now in this highway fund. This got
Yes.
540 in there.
it's 644 unassigned in the highway fund, so. That's DA 100, right underneath the,
Oh, the sheet I have says 540.
Yeah, but-
644.
that's, so
It was at the
go
top.
to the next page.
That unassigned, it's at the
Go to the
top.
next page.
thank you.
You don't have it there. You're Jen.
Oh, no,
Oh, there it is, yeah.
So see that-
644,055.
So
Okay.
the other one, John, I mean. Why don't you explain to him what the 500 is?
I
He'll
got
do a
it.
better job than I
I
can.
got it,
So,
I got it.
so that that's. Some of it's promised, so to speak, and some of it is not promised.
So it
Like
looks like
the
we're-
unassigned funds is unpromised anywhere.
So-
It's just hanging out, not doing anything.
Yeah, so it looks like we got about. Well, somebody summarized it there, $406,000. Potentially,
That's the range of the fund policy.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
that should
sorry.
be brought
That's
down
just
about
about-
two
yeah, so-
fifty.
Up here, just above.
So
there.
the-
644.
The highway unassigned fund balance
And
is
you get about
within, it's
240,000.
compliant right now,
Right.
so we don't have to do anything.
Oh, it's down under,
Yeah, so the unassigned
Yeah,
fund balance
Yeah,
is
it's under the
644,
713,
and it can
Right.
go from 237 to 713, so we're good.
so we're good on that one.
Yep, we don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Right, and I just, so the board knows, like, that's kind of intentional.
Yep.
Because once you move it to D, it can't come out.
Right.
Okay, so you need to,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
You good?
You wanna be as flexible as you
That's
can
why
with
we
that
give you
money.
the reserve funds.
We
And,
do have those
and
also,
the
but,
capital projects too, so.
All right,
Okay, do we want to pause this?
Yeah, let's
conversation and let them
pause
have their
and bring
presentation?
in, and give Michelle the floor. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for waiting for us. And
No, thank you.
Michelle is from Dreyfus Muni Trust, which is similar to NY Class, which we use, and it's just another tool to an investment tool that we could add to our investment policy. They shop the rates, they look at the market. They're very similar to New York Class. They have different things that they offer and different benefits and strengths that they offer as well. That's, and there isn't anything. in
there isn't
there.
anything in
No.
the package about that.
So, all right, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, great. And thank you. And can you, everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, great, because I'm using my phone. I think there's something in our firewall that wasn't letting me dial into the Zoom call. But thank you, Jared, for giving me the opportunity, and thank you to the Finance Committee group to having us. My colleague Tony Dietry unfortunately wasn't successful dialing in, so he's not going to be able to dial in. But like Jared mentioned, I'm with Dreyfus, and so Dreyfus is the investment management firm that manages the New York Muni Trust Fund, which is the Empire Fund, which we the fund that the towns and villages and cities and different districts can use. Just to give you like a quick history, just who we are. So we're owned by the Bank of New York Mellon, the largest custodian in the world at about $48 trillion. And Dreyfus is one of the investment management firms under the BNY Mellon umbrella. And so Dreyfus manages, we're actually just celebrating our 50th year anniversary this year on managing short duration portfolios like a local government investment pool. But and we manage about $380 billion of assets under management. Of that $380 billion, our bread and butter is really our money market funds. So it's kind of like a local government investment pool, except it's governed by different rules. Money markets are governed by Rule 2A7. Local government investment pools, such as New York Muni Trust, as you know, are governed by the New York General Municipal Law. So we're following that guideline to manage the Empire Fund. We're also endorsed by NYSAC and NACO, so it's a great endorsement that we have with both of those organizations, as you know who they are. And we launched a product about a year and a half ago, and we're very robust pipeline we have for the product. And I have something that I can share after this that is kind of summarizes what I was talking about. But the Empire Fund, we have the New York Muni Trust is made up of two pools. One is called the Excelsior. The Excelsior is for New York State counties. So that has the expanded investment parameters where it allows for commercial paper and money market funds where that general municipal law was expanded for New York counties to invest in. But the Empire Fund, which is the fund that you would be interested in, is the investment parameters for that is mostly in Treasury securities and repurchase agreements that are collateralized by Treasury securities at 102%. That fund is currently yielding 519. So that's pretty competitive rate compared to our competitors out there as well. So just to let you know, like what role BNY Mellon plays with the product, because it's such a huge bank, we are able to leverage all the different services that BNY Mellon has. So BNY Mellon offers the record keeper on the fund, they're the custodian on the fund. They're also our client service group. that serves this product is also part of BNY Mellon. They're located in Long Island, so downstate from where you guys are at. But it's all 100% New York. So it's all, Bank of New York Mellon, New York by the name itself. Dreyfus, New York-based investment firm. My client services in New York, so everything's based in New York. We have a great investment team. The fund is managed by a gentleman by the name of Steve Murphy, very accessible to our clients and prospects. If you want to speak to him about the market, what's going on with the Fed, he makes himself available. So he's also available to speak to everyone. We have a dedicated client service group. It's a small group, so I always kind of say, kind of like a little bit of white glove service, because they're such a smaller group that they get to know who our clients are on a one-to-one basis. You get to know who they are. Very helpful with the account process, with the enrollment form and opening up accounts, and then anything moving forward. The way you would have access to the product is through a portal called Active Advisors, and it's an internet-based portal where you would receive your credentials to log in. Somebody on your team would be designated, like the authorized person to be able to make changes, like wire changes or anything like that. And then you have those that are able to, when you're ready to make your investment online, you can make your investment online. And then we'll have your wiring instructions, and so we would give you our wiring instructions so that you can send us the investments, and vice versa. We would have your wiring instructions in the event that you need your liquidity. As far as liquidity goes, it's on a daily basis. It accrues dividends on a daily basis, and you could put in money today. We need to take money out tomorrow. You could do that. The trading cutoff is 12 p.m. Eastern time. So as long as you get your investments in by 12 o'clock the same day, you would start accruing dividends the same day. In the event that you need to make a redemption, and you let us know by 12 o'clock, you could get your wire that same day as well. Any questions?
Any questions from the crew? So what's the initial start? If say municipality wants to join in, what's the initial investment?
So the minimum investment is just 50,000.
Okay. Jess, do you have any questions? Okay. All right, well, I think that's good. If you want to send out, what you had, I know you couldn't share what you had, and I know that was, so if you want to send that out, and then we will send it out to the board.
Okay,
That would be fantastic.
that's great. Perfect. What I'll do is I'll just include, it's just a few pages of the presentation, says who we are, so that you get familiar, because one of the things that we always say is you need to know who's managing your money, right? Who's making the investments for you. So that will kind of explain who Bank of New York Mellon is and Dreyfus. And I'll send along the enrollment form and the cooperative agreement that comes along.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much again.
Right.
Apologies again for the trouble of dialing in, and have a great day.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
So, Jared, I think there was some question about the difference between 3+1 and Dreyfus.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
So we have NY class, right?
This is just
This is like
Another option.
Another
right.
bank option.
This is like NY class. We have Lions Bank, we have Canandaigua Bank. They shop the rates. What this does, it's so New York State Association of Counties and the National Association of Counties both endorse this group and use it. All it is, it's like having, if it's like putting all, if we only dealt with Canandaigua National Bank, then we wouldn't have competitive rates from Lions or Community Bank. If we only deal with New York class, then we don't have competitive rates from Canandaigua Bank, from anybody else. It's just theirs. This is the same type of company as New York class. 3+1 shops rates, 3+1 goes back, and that's just added to what is in our fund, in our investment policy, that, hey, you can use Muni Trust. So they shop, they look at the rates, they're like, oh. New York class is 5.15%, Muni Trust is 5.21% right now. And they negotiate with them and they say, we got them up to here because we have this. Working with whatever relationship with them at this moment. So 5.21, that's our best bet. That's where the money would go.
So Dreyfus is one of the places that 3+1 would shop. It gives them another option.
It's a shopping option. They don't manage anything.
They don't see our funds.
They don't see our funds.
balances like
They just
3+1.
they just manage it.
Well, they just advise, really, isn't it?
They don't advise. They don't
I
advise
mean, they
us.
say, here's
3+1.
Here's the rate.
options.
3+1 does.
3+1
Yeah.
comes to us and they say, hey, we should, so it's totally different. It's a completely different thing than 3+1, not even the same.
Dreyfus is
But-
just, so 3+1's options right now are what?
Lions, Canandaigua, New York class.
So if we added Dreyfus, they'd be Lions, Canandaigua, New York class.
And Dreyfus,
Dreyfus,
that they
right.
could shop those for any money that we have to invest. And whoever's got the best rate and whoever's the most liquid. New York class, New York class and Muni Trust. Give us the opportunity to invest and be fully liquid with our 100% of our investments, like she said, are liquid. Within the same day if we get it in at the right
They
time.
do, yeah.
CMB, Lions, any investments we have there are locked into our CD rates and time periods.
Which are usually about a month.
So Dreyfus is not locked into a time period, right? It's just like a money market account essentially.
That's
You
what
can withdraw and
That's what
put
it is.
in.
You put
right,
it in, you
right.
take it out same
It's
day.
same
in,
day, right?
Same day out.
So we would just look at if they have a good rate, we put money in.
Right.
If somebody else has a better rate,
+1, we'll look and see.
All it does
Right.
is it's
Right.
another place for them to shop,
makes sense to
to
me.
look, to put our money and increase competition and increase our options.
Will cost anything.
No,
Mm-mm.
Hopefully it gains something.
no.
So we can have more money coming in.
It's
if we
just
don't know
like,
what to
it's
do
just
with
like,
it.
it feels like New York class doesn't cost anything.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
just, we put our money in, they make whatever they make off of the top,
I
we
think-
get it back.
I think if the Association of Counties and Association of Towns is.
They both endorse it.
Then I think that's.
Several
sounds like it makes
municipalities
sense
around
to have.
here have them in their portfolio, Victor has them in their portfolio. It's
So
just,
are we doing a resolution to allow them
So
to be
if-
another investment location?
well, and it would be in June, but if the board is, we have the board here, but if there's consensus,
I'm fine with it.
we can add them and we add them to our policy. There is another tool that we can use
Mhm.
and that 3+1 can shop.
So let's make a June resolution to add them in
Yeah,
as a
okay.
possibility for us, unless anybody has any great objection to
I
that.
don't see how it could hurt anything to have
Right.
another option.
Right.
Okay, since we've been talking about 3+1, let's talk about 3+1's cash vest implementation, Jess and Jared, whichever one of you guys want to talk about that.
So we've had a couple meetings, for them to collect data. We have another call on May 21st. They are running our data and running our accounts now to look for the strengths and weaknesses. And then the next call will be that we will start, they'll start offering suggestions on where to invest the money and where to start investing. We don't have anything yet from them. They're still populating their dashboard and our dashboard with the money that with our accounts. So they'll populate everything. And then they run it and then they're like, okay, here's, kind of that calendar. Here's your 0 to 7 days and then your 14 days and where you should have that in there. So the next meeting with them is May 21st, when they're gonna report back on their progress.
So when do we anticipate them starting to make their first recommendation?
After May 21st,
So
that's the
sometime in
goal.
June, so.
That's the target, and then they're gonna start doing their thing and giving their recommendations.
Okay.
Recommendations through Jess and then the finance office and go from there.
Cool.
What they will do is say, once it's implemented, here's what we find. We tell them, okay, go this way or go that way.
Right,
Who is it that says go this way or go that way?
it's the same as right now. It would be manager, supervisor, finance clerk,
Okay,
and
Well, what
Town
about
clerk.
I never had
Yeah.
anybody approve my investments.
right, because you are kind of your own entity, so you can go through and just approve. If you want another person on that, to have another person to bounce off, you can, but you don't need it. Because you have the authority to just go and invest.
Okay,
But for ours, and it's not a change in our policy, that's how our policy has always been, it's that it's two of the three, it's.
I mean, I only do
supervisor,
it once a year
right.
with the tax
Yeah.
money, so it'll be interesting this year. I'm kind of excited. We made 63,000
Yeah.
this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And see, so it'll be two of the three. The same as it is right now.
Yeah.
Jess is off next week, just so everybody knows, so if all hell breaks loose, you'll know it's because we really, really need Jess. But I think she's doing everything she can to make sure all hell does not break loose, by working lots of extra hours to set that up. But I hope you have a good break, Jess. The next thing on the agenda was the in-code cloud implementation, which unfortunately we can't bring up down here because the internet sucks in this room. So I don't know, it was one of the attachments to the agenda that just sent out. Basically, it says there's discovery on May 23rd,
Which I didn't even
which,
mention, I wasn't even gonna mention it, cause that's like a computer
yeah.
thing.
Mhm. Then there's gonna be a kickoff meeting on May 30th, which they'll be presenting to the team. There's a go live check-in meeting. This sounds like the conversations I have with my husband at night when he talks about go live things.
So when can we expect to be fully up and running with?
Well,
them?
it sounds like from
After
the biggest thing was June 18th to
Okay.
June 19th is a transition day, so there's going to be some downtime where the internet's going to not always be working in that period. So make sure that anything vital is done before June 18th and or after June 19th.
I did look at that date is great because it's like the
19th 's
week
the holiday.
before the,
19th.
And now that the 19th is a holiday,
it's the space between when the agenda items are due
Mhm.
and the town board meeting, so that's kind of like. the
So-
you guys are on the 19th.
Week where we're not inputting.
just real quick, highway. It's a full.
It's a floating, yeah.
Mhm.
And for staff here, I believe they take it off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it'll be, you're the only one who will be
Yes.
impacted by that.
Okay.
Just
Well,
don't get on the.
expect some
internet.
funkiness.
Yeah.
So-
Just go play on something
So-
fun, and try something around.
Or as it says,
But
transition.
the go live date is 6/18, right? So
Yeah,
that's, so they're gonna implement.
So all in, we should be, by June 20th, we should have everything switched over, so so then by that point, we'll be fully cloud. We'll be fully cloud-based. We won't be living between two worlds.
Mhm.
We'll be fully cloud, because Tyler's been waiting on Encode to switch us over to full cloud. Because of cost, so
And maybe we can.
June 20th.
buy
What
things
about-
In the basement then, that would be nice.
which portion is my cloud that I'm on right now for BAS through integrated?
that's an answer that I don't know.
Jess,
Actually, I think you're just using the internet to get to their server.
I'm on a remote server for integrated, once our server crashed here.
Right. You'll be fully cloud once it's over, once it's crossed over, the same one that we use.
They've been waiting for Encode before they can do theirs.
Yeah.
So
So once Encode goes live in the cloud, then the server can then go cloud as well.
And you won't
And
need
I
to
don't
do
know
remote
that time.
login from here to get to the server.
right,
You'll be
so
there.
who's communicating with integrated about that? Anybody? Or no?
I know Lindsay's been talking to them, Tyler has information on them, so they haven't given me an update. On their crossover for a while. Because they're holding steady until they check in and they say, they check in and they say, how's Encode doing? And now that we have the final dates, then that will give them their target
Okay,
to move everything over. So my guess is with them, but on the 20th, conservatively July 1st.
Yeah.
It would be my guess for around when everything's fully
okay.
cloud. So you've got another month and a
Okay.
half of frustration on things. I apologize.
Hey,
That's your answer that you didn't want, but that's your answer.
Okay, so the next thing is the AFR update.
AFR stands for.
Yeah, well, I'm like,
Stands
what
for
the heck is an
annual financial
AFR?
report. It used to be the AUD.
yeah,
I just wanted to let everybody know that that it was submitted. I received an email on April 29th that, the AFR was, in review. And it looks really good. There's some reclassification corrections that I need to take care of. And that's due by the end of May, so. So it looks like we're in good shape there. No huge red flags, so.
And that's requested by the comptroller.
The controllers, yep.
Okay, audit update.
And the audit is also in the works. The town justice had their testing with the auditors on April 16th. The town clerk had, their testing on April 29th, I believe. They've just requested some more samples, that I have to upload. So things are moving forward and with that, looks good. And I did request to, see if they would be able to, present their final report. Now, is that something that we would want on the second, Monday of the month
Board meeting.
for them, board
Yeah,
meeting?
that would be a regular board meeting
Okay.
report.
And would the July 8th meeting be okay for that?
It would be, that wouldn't be the 8th, it would be the
Would be the third one, right?
15th, it would be
Yeah.
July 22nd. It's the second one of the month.
Okay,
Because July is funky because of 4th of July.
okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if that would be considered a presentation that would be done.
Yeah, I think because of that, because of the financial, that,
Well-
I think that would be, that would
So-
merit the regular board meeting
So
presentation.
then I did try to ask, if possible, they may try to present at the June 24th meeting, if I can get all my stuff.
Okay.
Because usually we try to get the final reports in by June, that way, once we hit budget, the beginning of budget season, we have all our,
That's all done.
you know, this is the end all be all numbers. So I can, yeah,
June 24th, and if
That's our
we
goal.
miss that deadline and you'd rather have it done sooner, we can do it on the 8th. I don't want to hold you up to that schedule.
Mhm.
So if that's something, because that would be easier to have that sooner than later.
right.
So if it needs to be,
So it would be
The
either
8th
be
of
June
July?
24th or July
if
8th.
it needs
Those
to
were
be
the
July
dates. Or-
8th, that's fine.
Okay.
It'd be nice
We'll
if
see what
we
we can
could
do.
see that here on the 13th. I don't know if it'll be anywhere near ready by June
I don't know.
13th.
Usually we get a preliminary, but,
It's
I
nice
mean-
if we can be familiarizing it on in the
it's gonna
finance.
be the end
committee.
of May before I know it, so, you know.
Okay,
I'm trying.
no, I'm just, that's why I said it'd be nice.
They're working, but I can only work on what I said.
They're also waiting for me to call them back, so
Okay.
I'm holding up the whole process. Okay, cool. New Wave, Jared, you wanted to talk about the.
So,
Yes,
yeah, New Wave, I know some of you probably saw New Wave and were wondering, didn't we already do that? This is for natural gas.
The other one was electric, right?
The other one is electric. This is New Wave fixed natural gas. Currently, we don't have a fixed natural gas supplier. We're on a variable rate, which is not a good thing to have. Their rate is 0.54. I don't have it in front of me, but their rate with their numbers and their attachment, when their projections, it's about a 17% savings over what we currently spend on what we would spend on natural gas the way we are right now. Natural gas is a lot less, so that 17% really is only I think it's a little over $2,000 savings annually. But every little bit helps. 12%. 12%. I gave him too much credit. So it's a little bit, it's not as significant a dollar amount as the electric because we don't use as much natural gas as we do electric. So if the board is okay with that, we've had the fixed rate before. And since they're already doing the electric, it just makes sense. And it's one bill right now, going through the bills, if when you notice,
It's like 75.
we have multiple different, we have two electric, two gas
Mhm.
bills that we pay. This would consolidate that into one, and we only pay one, and then just like with electric. You pay the electric and then
One for each account.
one for each
There's like
account.
There's still like-
57.
Right, so it would be a minor streamline of that process. So if the board is in favor of that,
Did we talk to anybody other than New Wave at all?
I only spoke to them. because of the convenience of the electorate.
And they
And it's-
actually, we just came out of an agreement with NRG, and so they have that information as well, so. They know what we were paying as well as what we
Mhm.
would pay. Just from NICEAG, so.
Okay. I'm comfortable with it unless
Yeah,
anyone
me
else
too.
has concern.
Okay.
Okay,
So I will. reach
so
out
is
to
that
them.
gonna be on the May
No,
agenda? or
That would be on the
June?
June, that
Okay.
would, well. It might be on the May, because I know that if they can cycle us, so we're on the same 24-month cycle, so this would be a 23-month agreement and not a 24-month agreement.
Yep.
Because we're a month late, so I will see, it might be on the May 20th agenda, but if not, it will be in June.
Okay, next thing is Mr. Pilot with the water treatment. Fun for every.
So I sent that out to everybody, I know I got feedback from John, he's the only one that I got back directly from, I know you. Well, not an email on that. The current, so. The background of this, when Doug left, that this is one of the things that he left and said. This is something that needs to be worked on and redone. So that's why it bumped up the list of things to do with the expiration. But going through and digging into it more, and from the information that I shared to you. If you look at the very end of it, it states that, I think this is page 8, section 2. It states that if the agreement expires, then it reverts to full value.
Mhm.
I don't know why we entered into a pilot in 97 with them. Other municipalities don't. At the school does not have an existing pilot with a water plant, but the water plant might be wholly exempt from the school as well, being a tax exempt entity.
Yeah, I think
Well,
they
it
are.
does say, so
Um,
the page 2, section C, that's what I was wondering about that, because it does say. The city of Canandaigua shall pay as payments in lieu of taxes and assessments, 100% of the taxes and assessments. Which are or would be levied upon the Canandaigua water treatment plant by the respective taxing jurisdictions. So I'm thinking that that means it could include school.
Yeah, but
and
that's
county.
their thing. And that's, so. If we let it expire, it goes to the full assessment, and Michelle ran the numbers and she came back at 12 million, like I shared with you. She knows that, she's like, I probably could have gotten it to 14 or 15, but. She's comfortable with that number. I respect that number. She did her due diligence on that. It is a complicated property because of the parts of it that we own. That 12 million assessment value would take, that currently their last pilot payment was around 13,000. This would take it up in that 18,000 range. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're on that sheet that you had. So it'd be about a $6,000 difference in what they would pay us. So if there's consensus to not re-enter into the pilot, I will just let. Michelle will write up her new assessment. And we'll send that to the city with a letter stating that article that says if it expires and we don't renew, we just revert to full value, and then it'll be full value here going forward.
I mean, I think, I don't see any reason not to do that.
Nope.
It's
So that's
6 of one, half a
3.
dozen of
Okay.
the other.
So we've got, I've got 3 there, so we'll go that route. That's how I figured we were gonna go.
We're all paying full value, so
What's that?
we're all paying full value.
We're all paying full value, and as Adeline reminded me, we have we have parcels in the city that we own.
Mhm.
We pay taxes.
They're not very big, but we have parcels in the city, and we get those tax bills every year that we pay to the city as well. Okay,
Well, I think 12 million is more than fair too. I mean,
Mhm.
that amount of lake frontage and 67 acres.
somebody
I mean,
asked,
if somebody built a house on that, I mean, that would.
somebody asked, why don't we take that lake frontage and turn that into public access? That was one of the, I was reading feedback from other discussions that we had, and somebody's like, you have 400 feet in front of the water plant. Why don't you turn that into public access?
We can make a dog washing beach there. That'd be a great idea.
Anyway, sorry. So that's it. Okay, so we've got direction, so we'll move forward with that. Thank you.
Totally kidding with that. Okay, wonderful. Okay, now the most exciting part of the meeting, the Route 332 streetlights, Jim. I know you're excited about that.
I'm always excited about
So
streetlights.
speaking about things moving on, so one of the things I wanted to clear up first too, before we talk about, so in our pile of places where we need to spend money, it says that those streetlights, I'm pretty sure it's a misprint. It still says 8 million. It's 800,000, right? So
Right.
just confirming, we're talking about approximately $800,000 for the streetlights. So one of the things that I've been talking to Jared and Jim about the streetlights, from my opinion, right now, the entire bid, the entire uptown bid board is the people in this room. And I feel like I don't want to be imposing something really enormous and huge debt payments to them, especially when it's just the town board in control of the bid. And I feel like a large amount of the streetlights are actually for public safety. Obviously, adding banners, adding sidewalk lights is not simply for the general public safety, but I think a lot of the streetlights are for the general public safety. So I feel like while some of the streetlights should be paid for by the bid, I feel like the majority of the streetlights should still be just paid for by the town. So I had asked Jim to maybe look and see how much extra we spend for the banner attachments and the sidewalk lighting, for example, and to see if we could maybe try to pull those out and say, okay, the banner attachment, the sidewalk lighting for every pole, that's being paid for by the bid, but the general pole assembly and light is paid for by the town. Which I think would help us avoid having there be the bid taking a loan from the town with interest, so. But
Right, I mean, it's always been a town-wide lighting district. This area. The businesses already have lights that shine onto their properties. But really, this is more of a, in my opinion, it's really. I don't think we should be taxing these businesses or tax for these streetlights when the town is responsible for maintaining them. I understand the reasoning why it was going this way, but those lights are not necessarily going to light up their parking lots.
I brought this up at our last PPW meeting
mhm.
and asked the same question. I mean, I think I agree. It would be a stretch, I think, to say that we're installing these lights for those businesses
Just for
along
the
that
bid.
stretch. I think it's more of a town-wide thing. That's all. I agree. I think it's a stretch to even say that the lights, besides the banners and the sidewalk lights, are the benefit of the business community. I think this is a town-wide issue more than it is a bid issue.
I agree. I think the whole thing should be paid for by the town, not the bid. It's banners and sidewalk lighting. You know, what I mean? That's our responsibility.
Everyone asked me to get a cost of just certain portions. I don't have an answer yet.
Yeah.
I will share that with Adeline. We'll go from there.
Well, I think, I think conceptually, we need to conclude that
Yeah.
conversation now.
'Cause we
and maybe
have-
save you from even doing that.
Cause we have, I think for the amount of work and everything else it would create, I've gotta think that's a minimal amount. As far as the full project, the other things in there, so,
Which I thought that the appetite of the board was to have the bid
Yeah.
pay for the whole
well, that's the
thing.
way it was.
So-
it's been
Well, that was
presented
the way
to
it
us
was presented at the
way back
beginning.
in the day, and I,
It's a public safety issue.
It is.
hearing,
And it's, I mean, yes, it's enhancing the district, but.
I would say though,
His responsibility to purchase maybe out of their
The banners.
budget, not like, to add to their tax.
Maybe they
Whatever.
want their banners a certain way.
A banner,
Okay.
like those purchases of the banners would come out of their budget.
Flowers.
Flowers.
like that.
that's what you were getting at, yeah. So beautification would be on that, and
If we
again,
get shrubs and things
that's-
like
And we
that.
would
But I
have
think-
that in the budget.
Even that could be argued that it's a benefit for the entire community. I mean, it's
Yeah.
our entryway into our community, and
Mhm.
we need to make it more welcoming and more pleasant, and I
Just
just
think
think.
dark lights and weeds aren't welcoming.
Okay.
No.
so
Dead-
before-
You left off
before-
dead trees.
Before we come on to time, let's
So there's-
keep talking about, we're all in agreement, the
Right.
town's gonna pay for it.
Now,
So
we're
where are we
at
being?
700.
Out of the 3 million we just found in
So
the,
are we, since that is vital, and we've been talking about this for years and bouncing this around to no end. do we wanna just go ahead and allocate that, some of that reserve money to just get this done and improve that area and make it nice
You
and
mean
good?
unassigned fund balance?
The
not
unassigned
reserve.
fund
Well,
balance.
That we
there's,
just talked about.
we could, go ahead, Jim, you want to say
We're
something?
gonna talk about this tomorrow, I thought.
Crystal and I
Well, we get it
will be
done today.
opening the bids at the end of the month.
One less thing to do tomorrow.
Then you know how much you would have
You
to
don't have. yes, you do.
move. I mean, it might not be 100,000, that's what I'm saying. Wait till we get those in,
Okay.
review them,
Mhm.
then do a resolution. for that amount of money too.
Fund it out of that unassigned.
But in
Right,
order to
yeah.
do that resolution, we need to know where it's coming from, so
Oh, yeah,
we can
sure.
either do it out of the unassigned fund balance, or we could also do it from the tax contingency reserve fund as well. So, because it does keep the taxes down, so, but,
Yeah,
so, I mean, and the other
Because we
thing
wouldn't be
too,
bonding.
currently the bid has about $90,000 in it floating around, if you wanted to take anything from that. we
No,
could, so.
we've already said.
So let's just come to the conclusion that we say the town's gonna finance it,
Okay,
and let's. Maybe you and Jess get together and come back and say, look, we can fund it out of this or this, what do you wanna do?
Mhm.
And maybe if you can get that done this afternoon, so we can talk about it tomorrow.
well, I mean, that's.
well, you could.
Well,
That's-
But we don't know the number yet for what it's gonna cost, right? Yeah.
No,
We're not gonna know
But
it.
there's like 5 different places we can fund it from, so,
But we-
but that, when you take it from a spot that's not the unassigned fund balance, that means it's something else doesn't come from that, so. So we can either take it from the unassigned fund balance, or we can find a spot that's kind of, already covering that concept at this point, so.
And the only benefit of that is the unassigned fund balance, we can put it anywhere, and the specific one. I mean, so if we have a specific one we can draw the money from, I would rather see us do that, because I like the flexibility. That's my 2
That
cents.
would just.
You can take it from there and put it in townwide street lighting in your budget.
Mhm.
In an A line, and
Yeah.
it's done.
That's a reserve fund?
No.
No, that's just the budgeted line.
So then,
Line
yep.
that you can-
So we're gonna say
Like-
unassigned fund balance, and we will add it into the budget. Under street lighting.
Correct.
Once we know.
The only-
We don't know the number yet.
The only thing to
Right,
just
no.
be aware of with that
At
too
least
is,
At least we'll know, like, when we write the resolution, what,
But
Where
then
it's
would,
coming from,
and the
right.
budget adjustment, because that adjusts our
Correct.
final budget number, because now
Yeah.
that money's
so
budgeted.
you increase your,
Okay.
That's great to do, Johnny.
No,
Agreed.
Right,
consensus,
Alright, good.
we good?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we spent money.
I'm bringing this up not to take us off on a sidetrack, but I think it's. Harmonious with this conversation. At some point, I think we should be discussing. Installing sidewalks to make sure there is a continuation from Farmington all the way to the town of Camden.
Boy, we got the Auburn Trail.
Yeah,
Not yet, we don't.
I agree with that.
That really says-
You know, yes, we have the Auburn Trail, but I think
Who's gonna use,
They-
who's
they-
gonna walk from Farmington to Canandaigua?
I see a lot of people. and
I do
maybe-
see people walking.
They-
Maybe
I will
they don't
say-
want to continue, but I see a lot of people walking and bicycle riding on that sidewalk. Up through, what is it, the hardware store, right?
Ace.
Yeah, and
It
I
is-
see a lot of people.
Town Line
using
Road.
now.
it is in our sidewalk envisionment study map, so it is on there as a place where when we have the money for it, we can pay for it there.
And I'm not saying we should
But-
talk about it now or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we should put it on our agenda to talk about, because I think there's some,
We've already, well, since it's in that
But-
map, we've already
That's okay,
approved
that's-
as a
big one.
something
Well,
that
we
you, but.
would probably want a multimodal
Yeah.
trail there, so we
Let
don't
me-
have to pay.
But
for
let me
it.
just point out,
Sidewalks.
John, we have a lot of existing sidewalk projects. So for example, the Middle Cheshire one, that's only 3/4 of a mile. That's $1.2 million. So we have some sidewalk things that I think are higher on the to-do list than that at this point, but it is on the to-do list, so.
Middle Cheshire is a trail, right? not a
Two quick
sidewalk.
questions, Jim. And what we discussed today doesn't impact the RFPs that are out there, right? And I have not gotten one bid yet. Is that normal? Okay,
They'll probably come in.
right on
Dave.
5
right
or
on
date.
that day.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's correct.
For either bid that's out there, I
Correct.
haven't gotten anything.
Like, real quick, like,
About 2 minutes to 2.
yeah, that's exactly, like, in some ways,
Okay.
when you give somebody a number, they're gonna write it down on a piece of paper. So that's
Okay.
it.
So,
Okay,
do we have time for a funny story?
Can we get to the agenda first, because it is actually two-sided.
Oh, wow. I thought we were done.
It'll take me 30 seconds.
Okay,
It's
go
about
ahead.
bids. So back in the day when we didn't have cell phones, we only used to have the bricks was the first thing we had. Before we had sidewalks, contractors would go to the municipality where the bids were taking place. And you'd end up finding pay telephones. And you'd get there an hour or two early and you'd take ownership of that pay telephone and you wouldn't let anybody get there. And I mean, you'd almost get into fisticuffs over, come on, please, let me use a no, I got it. You can't come in here. You got it tied up. And you tie up the telephone.
So you just go
like that.
sit, that's why they got rid of telephone booths.
Yeah, and you know, you make people go to other municipalities or, you know, neighboring municipalities in the hopes that they didn't get their numbers in time and they wouldn't get the bid on. So that was only 30 seconds.
Oh, you got it.
Capitalism is,
Yeah, I
The
thought you were gonna say you cut the lines
Okay,
on all the
so-
other phones, so don't
Yeah.
use them.
The next thing on the agenda, meeting with CNB.
May 23rd, CMB is coming in to discuss, meeting with myself and Jess and Crystal and probably bring Courtney in there too about ACH. They're encouraging us to move as much as we can towards that.
Good, good, no?
The ACH was just the electronic checking
Hmm.
versus paper checks, just
Oh, for
because.
us to make our payments.
So for us to pay, to move in that line, in that direction. Perfect example, we sent 2 checks, we sent the surety release to an address. It was stolen out of the mailbox. Twice, and the guy took it and somebody just photocopied over a new address and a name and they went and they cashed the check.
Because of mobile deposit.
Because of mobile,
Yeah.
Take a picture
they
and you
mobile
took that.
deposit, they took a picture and they did it twice, same person, same name. Somebody, and I'm not, somebody out of the city of Rochester,
No, they're in Greece. I thought.
was a great
Did
step.
Did they catch them?
They-
I Googled them and I found the address and I was like, I
We were,
wanna go there.
we were gonna drive there and go over and confront them, but
So
we
did
decided
they-
against it.
Are they getting penalized?
The bank is that's
It's
the
in the
bank,
bank,
that's in the bank.
Right.
It's weird, yeah.
So they are encouraging us to do as much electronic as we can. And I think we need to because for safety and for efficiency and
That's the direction of
it's
the
the
world.
direction
you
that,
know?
it's a direction the world moved 10 years ago. And
You
it's,
can do it electronically, but about 3 weeks ago, somebody hacked into my checking account, bought some industrial tools for $456.
Mm.
And some bath and beauty oils from an outfit in Florida for $88.65.
Those tools are working great for me too, Terry. I wanna thank you for that.
my skin has never been softer.
Well, and
See,
that's
when people
what
get
we-
into my
It's
tank,
safe
they
for
get,
us.
they get
Yeah.
in ski trips.
That scares me.
I mean,
That scares me.
nothing's safe.
No idea how.
Right,
Yeah.
so there, I mean, and that's part of what we'll talk to Mary Kay about. So like with our checking, we have a system called Positive Pay. And actually we can even move electronically with that process as well. But through our software, but you know, the bank knows what checks we write out and in this case, it was a different bank account, which now we do have Positive Pay on that account as well. Regardless, so they won't cash a check that doesn't match the information that we give them about that check, and I would hazard to guess they have the same when it comes to ACH payments as well, that will send
Yeah.
a list
We
of
have-
all the payments and what the amounts are, and they would have to match for the bank to clear that payment to go through, so hopefully.
My accounts,
They'll contact you
They
get
won't
it okay.
process the payment, right?
until they hear.
Correct, I have, literally, I get an email every day that says there are no exceptions or there are exceptions today that I have to
right.
check.
So my accounts only have it on the ACH withdrawals,
Oh, okay,
not on the check. So if I write a check with my signature, they don't
right.
put
But
it into
you
Positive Pay.
Physically write your check.
Yes.
Mine are electronically.
So the system we have worked though. I mean, there was a false check and we found it and It
Yes,
worked.
yes and no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's the no part of that?
that purchase, so.
that
we have,
person
like,
got money.
Several
Well,
different.
that's
we
not
have
our
several-
problem, right?
No, we have several different bank accounts
Right.
in that particular bank account, since not a lot of checks, it was never set up to have that procedure in place.
Mhm.
But it was caught because we do bank reconciliations, we can see, so.
So that process doesn't change whether you handwrite a check or does it electronically. So just so long as that check and balance system is still in place, which
It is.
anytime you
And
can do something with a
heightened now.
keystroke, it always worries me that
Correct.
who's hitting the key, you know?
It would be nice to issue payments ACH.
That would be nice.
So we'll see what
Do
they say.
that too. Good. Okay, finance related resolutions. So we had a couple that came out of this meeting that are gonna be.
There are a couple, and
They're next.
there will be a bunch on the meeting on the 20th. Just a couple highlights. And again, the agenda's not even close to being done. There's gonna be a $600 transfer from the assessor contractual to the historian contractual to pay for printing of the reconnaissance survey, the historical survey that was put out. Print 3 copies at about $200 each. Leaf didn't have budgeted for that. So that money, and the assessor contractual is Paul. And since Paul's no longer with us,
Oh, he isn't. at this
No.
point? Okay.
so that money's gonna go from there. There'll be a proposal for MRB's town hall renovation. There will be a proposal, and I spoke with Jim about this. To move $15,000 from traffic contractual road signs to public service information contractual. And that will allow us to have IC9, our website creators, redesign our website, bring it up to date. It hasn't been redesigned in a long time. There are a lot of things that make it difficult to navigate. So he put in a bid for that.
I'd like to have a quick question. Is that coming out of where we were getting the Cheshire speed signs from?
We've already paid for those.
Okay, so
This
those
is
are
separate.
still planned.
This
to
was
come in.
a speed trailer that we were considering, and I could just take one of those signs and put it on a trailer and drive it around and park it, so.
Okay.
We need to
Yeah.
spend 15,000 for one.
So we're still getting the speed signs in Cheshire this year?
Yep, we already have.
Oh, they are? Oh,
No, we gotta put them up.
They're not up,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Correct.
I was gonna say, I didn't see.
And then there'll be another resolution to engage with GoGov to create a communications app. And that has the support of parks, of staff, and what that does is it allows allows you to get push notifications on your phone. It allows, to send out road closure here. People could sign up for what reminders they want. Lindsay can communicate with staff instead, it allows her to reach out and send notifications and reminders to staff. It's communication software, and there will be information in the agenda packet for that.
Is
And
that
we'll-
internal or is it for?
Both. It's internal and
So
external.
like if you had a water main break, you could send out. a flash
Shut out.
notification.
And then it buzzes on somebody's phone. It's like, oh, water main break on Middle Cheshire Road.
Great, okay.
But,
So
and
they get
people,
delivered from other places. other
and
than-
people can sign up. People can sign up for what, if they only want
Sure.
highway, or if they only want parks, or if they only want meeting updates. So that there'll be a resolution for
So-
that.
Okay, so when we do meeting updates, now we're adding a place that we would have to put them.
But that, you can do it there, and then it would send that to, that can link with like MailChimp, and that can link with other places, so that can send, so still it's like a one place,
Okay,
and then it would broadcast it to those other places.
okay.
And it meets the legal criteria for posting a meeting? Is that what you're
That's-
saying?
No, they still have to be in the paper, don't they?
They still have to be in the paper,
Okay.
but that would be. a
In addition
one-stop-
to,
A
right.
one stop.
So I
Yeah.
can't wait for the.
I don't even read the paper anymore.
All people that get the paper.
Did you ever read the legal
Okay,
notices? and-
funny story, John got his 30 seconds. I was talking to Mike Murphy last night, not our Mike Murphy, but the messenger Mike Murphy. Did you know they were on strike for 3 weeks? Exactly.
I did.
Mike said,
I heard
yeah.
it on the radio.
Mike's, did you miss me? He's like, I was on strike for 3 weeks. He's like, you were what?
Yeah.
Is that what?
So
I-
what's our,
So-
were our press releases getting posted?
I don't know. So he's like, you have no clue. He's like, you had no clue. I'm like, no, who was on strike? It was the whole Canandaigua office, me and the sports guy.
Honestly.
It wasn't in the town.
Yeah,
We
in
should
that.
It was
consider
Connect, right?
Switching to Finger
Finger
Lakes
Lakes
Times
Times
next year,
Um,
because they're.
Put the
still
final
active.
nail in their coffin.
And just so
and
you
one-
guys know, the New York State budget is now helping to fund the local papers.
And
FYI.
there's also a budget adjustment to move 45,000 from the unassigned fund balance. 30 of that will go to highway superintendent, 15 of that will go to water superintendent
Salary line.
salary lines, which is what we had talked about doing, and that'll take both those lines to 90. I adjusted that rather than 95, 85, I did them both at 90. So that's the other budget adjustment, the budget transfer, not a budget adjustment, it's just a transfer.
I have two questions.
But it is budget.
Who's making sure the fee schedule gets on there again with the short-term rental, adjustment on the fee schedule? Cause we need to have that on there. Just
For the 20th.
yeah, it's gonna be 300 a year instead of 900 for the 3 years.
Right.
So we need to get that on there along with the,
I can try to help write that up.
just that part of the fee schedule. No.
Well, there's another fee schedule,
Removing a cabin.
removing some
We already,
cabins.
I thought we did that. Oh, yeah, but that we didn't do the fee schedule.
Right,
We moved that.
no, we removed Babcock from the fee schedule last month,
Mhm.
and this month we're removing the 3 Uplands
Three Upland,
cabins.
that are not there
That have
anymore.
been
Right,
removed,
yeah.
right?
And then is there any fireworks update, Jared?
So, yeah, I do. We're engaging and moving forward with July 6th, and the reason is, like I shared, I heard back and there was consensus to go forward with the 6th. That is the only date where a barge was available and fireworks were available that had not already been taken. So there will be fireworks July 3rd, July 4th, potentially July 5th. And ours will be the culmination on July 6th, which
Who's
is
doing
Saturday.
the third, fourth, and?
Farmington has one,
Oh.
Lincoln Hill has one, so not just on the lake
Yeah,
in
yeah.
here,
The area.
in the area, so we're engaging with the city for that. They will provide, we will provide funding, they will provide, kick in some funding, they will also provide traffic control, cleanup. Whatever they need associated with that along
Some
Kershaw.
location near Skino Island.
It'll be, the barge will be right off the shore.
Off Kershaw?
Yeah, if we want to continue and move towards the 4th, which I think is what people want to do,
Yes.
then we need to engage that company and Marine Blue now to book the 4th.
I think that's important to do for 25 and 26, because 26 is that 250 anniversary.
So if we are agreeing to continue to fund a fireworks line, and we had it at 15, which is more than enough, a decent fireworks show is in that 8 to 10 range. Maybe we took it to 12, but a
I
decent
think
firework.
for 26, we should be anticipate higher than.
But then we can move forward and talk to
Sorry.
Young's Fireworks and then Marine Blue to lock them into as many July 4ths as we can.
Does the city have any interest in? I guess the overall cost of the whole thing, or they still?
Well, when we were talking about Labor Day, we were gonna kick in a few $1,000s and provide all of the public works related things, so the hour, so the bulk of it wouldn't be a 50-50 split. But they would contribute, we would not pay them for any of the manpower, any of the police, any of the cleanup, any of the other stuff, that's all there, that's their portion of the payment. It is, and it's not, and it's more logistic, here, you write a check, you do it, they're coordinating everything. That was for Labor Day. I was surprised that they went right to the 6th, and they're like, okay, we can do the 6th then. I thought there was gonna be more pushback. We haven't had any further discussions about if that is changing, what they're willing to contribute. We don't have anything in writing yet. That would come forward later, but,
So technically, we're paying for the fireworks.
we're paying for the fireworks, they're paying for they're paying for the associated costs.
I think we need to make that pretty well known,
Yeah.
because I think the city should be paying as well,
Mhm.
money for the fireworks. I get the whole, we gotta police the area and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but,
Well,
I mean,
what's
who
the
pays-
value of that?
pardon me?
Like,
What
what's
is
the value?
Right,
And
right.
if you were to make it
When-
monetary?
When the Finger Lakes Triathlon is there, there's city cops there. Who pays for that? The triathlon?
Triathlon.
Do they?
Mhm.
Are you sure?
No.
Right, I'm not
I
sure
know
either.
they used to be when Taryn was doing that.
Yeah. But it's just interesting from our standpoint. I mean, the city's gonna get all the publicity. Oh, the city's doing fireworks again, because it's at Kershaw.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
We're paying for it.
As soon as we know for sure this is happening, what's happening, we need to do a press release on it. and
Absolutely.
Do some push on it that, hey, fireworks are back. The town of Canandaigua funded it in their budget. They're gonna be July 6th this year, because it was restarting. and hopes to be July 4th in the coming years, so.
Definitely put in that the city's paying for the, whatever, the.
And then we could
logistics of
say,
it.
we thank our partners in the city for their assistance with managing the crowds and, something like that. But
I will be putting in for a budget transfer also for the new truck for zoning.
yes, that's
Okay,
right.
so
yeah.
that came in over, you have to move like 18,000.
That's
For
on
that.
that.
Was 18,000 more than we thought it was gonna be?
Well, we only budgeted for a car.
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So then you.
Car,
know-
like
Yeah,
30,000.
stuff, and probably have the car.
Yeah.
They need trucks. Our code
So-
enforcement needs
Yeah.
trucks.
So he's.
Can we get like a boot scraper on the truck?
And I can tell you that the dump truck budget will not even be built to the first of next year. So we'll
Okay.
encumber those funds, just so.
Yep.
So just so you know that, I don't know, 290,000 we have in there will not be spent this year.
Okay. Are you gonna write that one for the,
Yes,
this-
I'll
for
write
the
that.
20th?
Yeah.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I'll have a couple resolutions as well, just to accept the JCAP grant for the town justice. Cause I have to put in a budget adjustment for that, just to show increased revenue, increased expense. And then also, we received, insurance recoveries from, an issue with a gateway sign, so again, I'll have to put in a budget adjustment to show the excess revenue. And then the corresponding, expense line increase, so those will be in there as well.
So that'll be more money we got to get, so.
No, no, I have to show that we're got the
Been
money
fixed.
so that we can spend the money. And then it doesn't come out of
Else on
anywhere.
that sign?
60, yeah.
Okay, just check.
Real quick, I'll go, since we're in finance.
Yep.
I'd like to bring up the town board meeting on the 20th or next week. The Fair Association, Ontario County Fair,
Mhm.
got a grant to pave a bunch of area this year to improve upon it. Town of Hopewell, Matt Curran came and asked if we could work together with Ontario County DPW to do as much there as we can to help them get as much paving done as we can. And what we're doing is we're assisting with our expertise. They're paying for material, we provide the equipment, and labor to do as much as we can at the fair. To
Property's owned by the county.
property is owned by the fair.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah,
So what are you repaving in the fairgrounds?
basically inside all the.
All the walkways and
all the
stuff, yeah.
walkways and stuff, so it's not mud and dirt,
Right.
So they're looking for a gift of the services, not a.
yeah,
Okay.
correct.
But not, just what oversight or what?
We would, the county would probably provide a paver, we would provide trucking and some labor to help get it
Oh,
down.
okay.
Says, I don't know the amount of the grant, I just know they got money coming and they wanna do as
Do they-
far as they can.
That's
They
not gonna
anticipate
take away
paying
from,
us back for it, or they're
No,
asking you straight up
It's just-
donate
just
time?
looking for contribution for the town to,
Okay.
cause they could say, we're trying not to pay a contractor
Mhm.
to put all this down, so they can do as much as they can,
is
So
it
they're using the grant money to
day
pay
of-
for the materials.
materials,
Mhm.
correct?
a day, a week, or what?
Probably 2 days, Terry, I would imagine.
Just, so, I mean, for the longer term, it takes away from what
Yeah,
you're doing.
like, you know, it's gonna go slow because it's tight, it's
Yeah.
not wide, it's not like a road.
Oh,
So,
it's like the work you did over here.
yeah,
It's, to me, it's the right thing to do, though. I mean, I think it's a-
I think as a community.
Yeah.
It's used by everybody.
It's a
Right.
It's
community
in
benefit.
our town and I
right.
would
I
like
think they
to.
should name one of the roads after us. that's
Couple,
all.
a couple days, I know it puts everything behind, but
uh,
it's miserable over there when it's muddy and
It is.
ugly. and-
But the two other municipalities, the county especially said they would,
So the county, Hopewell and Canandaigua
Yeah.
town are gonna work on it, the city gonna have
Yes.
it all?
we haven't invited.
They're gonna provide the support for the traffic.
Shorthanded, I'll be honest.
They will provide
The
the
hard time
complaints to
finding-
the racetrack out there.
Oh, yeah, they'll, I'm surprised nothing's happened yet, because they've already had a few races, so.
They started out,
It's
yeah.
been quiet for now.
I mean, I
Well,
think that's,
Planes have been quiet.
that's fine. Do we need to like indicate somehow the time spent? I mean, does that need to
I'm
be?
just looking to make sure you guys
We're
are.
okay, we're okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if legally we needed to somehow
Well,
indicate
we've
something.
never had one before, it's just
Okay.
been like. done.
Okay.
I mean, they're still in the town, right?
Right, it's
So-
our intermunicipal cooperative, so stick it somewhere in a future grant, grant application, we've got intermunicipal cooperation in the past, so.
Press release.
So,
Any word on that North Bloomfield gateway sign? Are we gonna try to get that back up somewhere? You know, the one that's
Down on
out
30,
towards Bloomfield,
By
yeah.
Race Road.
people ask about that.
Don't forget about that job.
Yes, it's the barn, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Trip Break. Say we gotta stick it in these Bloomfield, just don't be upset about it, all right.
Yeah, we'll just put it in there. Nobody knows where those lines really are.
I try
Yeah,
to
that's-
figure it out every
Is that
time.
corner?
It's such a
Is that
nice
corner?
thing when you
Yeah,
enter our
just,
community, those signs. I hate
Yeah,
to
they
miss
look
that
nice.
one, yeah.
just tell them.
And
So-
Crystalline had a couple
Yep,
things.
regarding the fee schedule for the short term. I'd like to have you look it over once I'm done with it. Do I need to put anything on there regarding people who've already paid 3 years? Or do we just leave
I don't
it?
think so, because we're just changing it, it's just an entirely.
We're not
new-
charging them anything
Yeah,
either, right?
it's
So,
a fee, potential fee, so if they wanna apply for, we're changing how short-term rentals work, so if they wanna get a short-term rental permit from that point on, once we pass the bill, it would be $300 for 1 year, so.
And there's
and
a
that's
track,
the fee that we're,
And the $900
right.
doesn't exist anymore
Right.
after we do.
but there's a
this, so.
tracking system in place to figure out
Yeah.
who's
who's what,
already paid 900 for 3 years.
They're two different permits.
right?
So it's, if they want, they will either maintain their $900 3-year permit, or they're gonna switch to the new $300 permit.
Okay.
If they don't have one after we pass the legislation, they have to do the 300.
300, they're-
So.
Okay.
3-year
So
will
there's
not be an option.
There's not an option.
With this
for a
fee
3-year
schedule, it will not be an
$900.
option,
900 no longer an option.
right?
Okay,
But we're gonna honor those that have been issued that don't wanna update,
okay.
We have to.
Right, right.
And then I have a resolution out there for my tax collector canceled checks from last year,
Mhm.
$31.21. I think that's standard. I see it out there every year.
Mhm.
Jean used to put them on there.
Yeah, just make sure that it says that a copy goes to the finance clerk
Okay,
at the bottom.
Okay. Anything else? So tomorrow at PPW, we're gonna be dialing down more on where to put this 2.6, correct?
Yeah, well, we never really finished the whole discussion about capital planning, so.
Right.
But I think the focus ought to be on that 2.6, whatever it is, that-
2.6.
what are we gonna do with it, make some decisions tomorrow and not leave until we do.
Yep. Well, we know where 800,000 is going.
Oh, but, you know,
So
try to
it's
get that
now becoming
resolved, because-
1.8.
So Jimmy, any chance of that 800,000 becoming a million in the bid? So
No.
if we budget it, if we say that money minus 800,000, that's what we're working with essentially,
Yes.
right? It
If
Could be a
it
little
comes in a
more,
million, then we're way overpaid.
yeah, okay.
We're gonna we'll read it.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.